This is the old courthouse building here. These stores have been here forever. Pretty much down here, it's all family-owned stores.
It feels like a small town still. Everybody seems to know everybody. Everybody knows the owners.
Right.
Small town America means a lot to Len Fatika, here in his home of Statesboro, Georgia.
The only bad thing about Statesboro that people complain about are the gnats. Everybody thinks people in Statesboro are friendly because we're always doing this. They think we're waving at them.
There's a lot of bugs.
They think we're waving at them.
Where Main Street serves as the beating heart of this small city, so much so that Statesboro has 4.
The thing I love about this town is there's
4 Main Streets.
4 Main Streets. So it's North Main, South Main, East Main, West Main.
So you are right now in the center of town.
This is Main Street.
Right, this is the center of town.
And where problems are settled a lot differently than they are in Washington, D.C.
People are, for the most part, very friendly. They will sit down and have a conversation with you, even if they disagree with you.
And a fair number of people here disagree with Len, because in this deep red area, Len is practically an extinct political species.
Democrats are never going to take over this county.
No. And they're not going to take over most rural counties.
A rural Democrat. Every week at this coffee shop, the local Democrats meet and talk strategy. Len, who's running for county commission here, is also in charge of an initiative to attract rural voters to the state Democratic Party.
Is it hard to make inroads as a Democrat in rural areas?
Yeah, it's very hard. We're in Statesboro, Georgia, and if you look at Bullitt County down here, we're probably close to 70% that is Republican.
It's a deeply Republican area.
Right, yeah, this is a deep Republican area.
You know the knock on Democrats is that they left rural voters behind long ago.
Yeah, somewhat. If you look at this county, at one time it was a Democratic county. Talking to Republicans, they feel within 10 years, with the manufacturing jobs that are being moved in, this could become a Democratic county again.
Why is that?
I think more middle-class people tend to side with the Democratic values, that we have as a party.
A big draw for Democrats here, Len believes, Vice President Kamala Harris's new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, known for his rural roots.
Growing up, I spent the summers working on the family farm. My mom and dad taught us, show generosity towards your neighbors and work for a common good.
He understands the issues of rural America.
While Democrats are hoping that rural voters can help give them an edge in Georgia, a must-win state, and across the country.
We are in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district right now.
Deep pockets of many of these rural areas are still Trump country.
You see a lot of trucks with Trump flags and a lot of Trump flags in the yard. And we are like little blue dots in a big red sea.
But that hasn't stopped some voters, like Robin Hutchinson and her daughter, Aaliyah.
Personally, I love Tim Walz. I think he's great. I think he's was a really smart pick for vice president.
I think it's more about personality. His personality comes across as very open and friendly.
I feel like Tim is genuinely a person who has high morals, who is a good, upstanding person, that kind of represents the older style of respectability that I think older voters got used to, and that newer voters still want to lean on and believe is the right thing and a good thing.
I think one of the reasons why rural Georgia's become slightly more competitive is that a lot of the culture wars that defined America for generations have really kind of subsided. But there are now a bevy of issues rather than just one defining social issue that's kind of driving people to vote. And honestly, the economic issue is really what's I think pushing people, because you have not had the economic growth outside of these urban nodes.
Just 2 hours away in Jackson County, Peter Fuller, the chair of the county Democratic Party, knows that flipping any rural part of Georgia is a tall order. Donald Trump got 78% of the vote in Jackson County in 2020.
These are counties that have been like this for a while. They're projects. They are long-term projects. Even though we're spread across the state, most of these communities are agriculture-based. We have issues of either not having population growth or loss in some cases. You have issues of health care is a big one right there. And yet translating some of the national policies into what's relatable here in Jackson County, I guess that's our job, but it makes it's a lot easier to do with somebody like Tim Walz.
And Len told us even when talking with deep red voters here, he believes Democrats shouldn't be afraid to tackle the elephant in the room, Donald Trump.
We've got to punch back, and we've got to punch back on the falsehoods that are told.
They go after guys like me, but they don't go after people that kill people. It's a shame what's happened in our country.
Do you think Harris puts rural America in a way more in play?
Yes.
And
definitely.
why? Because she doesn't have a rural background.
No, she doesn't, but Tim does. Governor does. The governor's got the rural background, and that way it was key. Hello, everybody.
Len took us to see that enthusiasm for ourselves in a campaign meeting at the home of a fellow county Democrat.
Does Tim Walz play a role in that, in your view? Do you think he changes the dynamic a little bit? You very much are reacting.
Absolutely. Rural people are very dynamic and personal. But at the same time, they want a community. They want to belong to something. And I think he brings that options to belong, coaching, teaching, military.
Voters here told us they haven't been this excited for a presidential race in decades.
They're getting involved, they're volunteering.
And it wasn't the first time we'd heard that.
I think this is the first time people are getting excited about what can really happen now.
Since Obama, and especially for the Democrats.
Absolutely,
you know?
Since Obama. That this is the first time that we really feel like change is possible.
But what remains to be seen is if that hope and excitement can translate into votes and victory.